Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is a very special episode of the Heated Exchange. This is episode 10, brought to you by Blitz League. Jet, it's a very special day today. How you doing?
It is a very special day. We made it to episode number 10. We are very excited that we made it this far. We've worked really hard to get to this point, and we're going to continue working hard to continue delivering all this great fantasy football content to help you guys win your leagues. So yeah, we're happy and we're excited to get into another episode.
Damn right we are. Jet, let's go over what are we talking about today?
Yes, so we have a lot of things to discuss in this episode. The first thing we'll do is we'll look into the Blitz League Fantasy League to give a little update on how everybody stands currently. Then we will get into a question of the day. We're bringing that back since the early episodes. We'll talk about quarterbacks in this question. Then we'll talk some start sits, Thursday night football preview, and then we'll finish off once again with some bold predictions, or in Austin's case, not so bold predictions.
I hit on one of them last week. The other
two, it wasn't that bold.
What?
The Lance Kyler Murray one?
Oh, come on.
Kyler Murray has struggled against the 49ers in his career.
His first start ever against one of the top quarterbacks in the league. Come on, that's a bold prediction.
I don't think so. I really don't. I think it was definitely possible. I think even though mine didn't pan out, mine were a lot more bold than yours.
All
right, let's get right into it. The Blitz League, we had some big performances last week. Some not so great performances, and like we said, there are no undefeated teams left in this league, but there is a winless team left in this league, and that is me. I'm 0-5, and this is the worst start of my fantasy football career. And honestly, there's really nothing else I could have done last week because I put up 233 points, and I lost. The guy that I was playing against scored 240 points. So we just move on from here. I revamped my team a little bit. Now I have James Robinson, TJ Hawkinson, Marquise Brown, Lamar Jackson. So reinforcements are on their way. It's going to be an uphill battle to get into the playoff picture, but I like some of the moves I've made, and hopefully my team will score 233 points this week, but win. Austin, how's your team doing?
I'm feeling good. I can't tell you what 0-5 feels like. That's pathetic. No offense. Actually, never mind offense. Definitely offense. I'm feeling good. Last week was, not one of my better weeks. It was still a struggle. My team right now only put up 165 last week. I mean, Clyde did nothing. Kyler Murray had a tough game. Lockett's doing exactly what he does. He goes up and he goes down for a while. Then he does exactly what he does. But I mean, it is what it is. I'll take the dub any day of the week. I'm 4-1. Believe I'm back in first in my division.
You're first in the division due to points for,
which I am 90 points ahead of the second place team.
You have the most points in the league overall as well. So
I'm feeling good about my matchup this week. I'm projected to win, but honestly, the way my team's been performing over the last couple of weeks, I'm really not feeling as confident as I'd like to. I did pick up Devontae Booker this week on free agency, so hopefully the Giants utilize them the way they did last week against Dallas. And excited, week 6. I cannot believe we're already 5 weeks into the season, or 6 weeks into this.
It's crazy. I mean, first of all, in this league, I'm 0-5, but I actually feel really confident about my team going forward with all the moves that I have made. But
it's so funny. You say the same thing every week. It's so funny. It's literally. I wish we put together a little reel of every week you said, I'm feeling really good about this week. 1 week later, still winless, but feeling really good about this week. 1 week later,
hey, Austin, I'm gonna tell you this right now. This is the week I get in the win column. I pick up my first win, and it's guns a-blazing from here on out.
If I had a win for every time I heard that, oh wait, I do. I have 4 of them.
And I have a bold prediction coming up later in the show pertaining to my team and this league. So if you guys want to hear what I have to say, stick around towards the end of this episode to hear that. But
Dude, my ears are not ready. My ears are not ready to hear your. Oh God.
You have a whole episode to get them ready. So let's move on to our next segment. So let's talk about the quarterback position a little bit. Right now, the top 5 quarterbacks in fantasy football are number 1, Tom Brady, surprisingly, with 134 points. Number 2, Patrick Mahomes at 130.9. Lamar Jackson coming in at 3 with 130.86 points. Number 4, Josh Allen, 127.6 points. And Justin Herbert coming in at 5th with 123.04 points. Obviously, I would say the biggest surprise on this list is the ageless wonder Tom Brady leading the pack of quarterbacks. Austin, does anything else surprise you about this top 5 at the moment?
This may come as a shock, but my surprise, I mean, yeah, Tom Brady, I did not think he'd be like this elite, but my surprise really has been Lamar Jackson all of a sudden. I mean, the first 4 weeks of the season, Lamar really didn't do much damage. He really couldn't eclipse the 20-point mark a lot. Just looked very confused in the pocket, really wasn't decisive with the ball, wasn't attacking the defense the way we've seen him do it in the past. But then all of a sudden, on Monday Night Football, he finally picked it up and he actually did what everyone thought he could do. So that Lamar Jackson, I was very surprised to see. I had not seen him in a very long time. But that's probably my biggest surprise right now.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you. I mean, I always have thought of Lamar Jackson as more of a running back than a quarterback, but on that Monday night game, he kind of shut myself and other haters up. So we'll see if he can keep it going forward. But my question to you, Austin, is which QB who is currently outside of the top 5 has the best chance of sneaking into the top 5 by the end of the season? If you want, you can mention a guy that he would take the place of.
If I'm being honest right here, I really don't know if that top 5 is going to change. I believe like the positions in the top 5 will maybe change, but overall, I think those top 5 quarterbacks, I think they'll remain there. But if there's one guy, I guess, who has the best chance to take one of the spots, I was between 2 guys. Kyler Murray, I think who's 6 right now, and Matt Stafford. I'm gonna go with Matthew Stafford.
Really?
Yeah, I think he comes into week 6. I believe it's QB 8 right now. And at this moment, he's 3rd in the league in passing yards with 1,587 yards. Unfortunately, the last 2 weeks, and I've been a victim of this, he's had a bit of a decline in touchdowns. He's only had 3 last 2 weeks. But compared to 2 weeks prior to that, he had 6 touchdowns. So I'm optimistic that Stafford will get the touchdowns going again. I think last week against Seattle, he started finding his groove a little more. Even though he only threw for 1 touchdown, I think he finally started getting in a rhythm. I mean, also last week in Seattle, he underthrew a ball to Kupp that had he just put it on the money, it would let him in stride, it would have been a touchdown. Did the same thing against Arizona 2 weeks ago. Underthrew a ball to Kupp. Had he hit him in stride, it would have been a touchdown. I think those little things, I believe him and McVay are going to get going and correct. And I expect Stafford to clean up his act a little bit against, unfortunately, my Giants, who are probably going to be that Daniel Jones and half their offensive weapons again. And I mean, with a loaded offense, Kupp, you have Woods, you have Higbee, you have D-Jack, you have Van Jefferson, you have Henderson. And McVay's play calling, I just think Stafford's touchdown numbers are going to go up. And with that, I think you'll find slowly getting to the top 5.
Yeah, I like it. It's definitely not out of the possibility for him to sneak into the top 5. I agree with you. I think the top 5 could very well stay the same. There could be some shift in the positioning of it. But if I had to pick one guy that I think could fall out of the top 5, I hate to do this. I always, from a fantasy perspective, I'm always, dissing him. But Tom Brady, I think he has the most potential to fall out of the top 5 due to his lack of rushing upside. I mean, he's not going to throw 4 or 5 touchdowns every game, I don't think. He very well could. I mean, he's thrown 5 touchdowns against 2 pretty poor defenses, the Falcons and my Dolphins. But going off of the question, the guy that I think that will sneak into the top 5 is Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is actually the QB6 on the season, slightly behind Justin Herbert at 122.2 points. Jalen Hurts is the only quarterback this year that has finished as a QB1 every week. Yeah, I get it. The Eagles are not that good, but in fantasy, that doesn't matter. Jalen Hurts has continued to rack up the garbage time points, and he's going to continue to do so regardless of the matchup. He has a ton of rushing upside. He's limited his turnovers this year. He only has 3 interceptions and no fumbles, multiple touchdown passes in 4 of the past 5 games. Already has more passing touchdowns this year than last year. I mean, he's been a steal based off of where he's been drafted. I know I've been fortunate to have him on one of my teams, but a lot of those concerns on his ability to pass, he has made up for it on the ground, and he has looked better than a lot of people initially thought. So give me Jalen Hurts to sneak into the top 5 by the end of the year.
As much as I love to disagree with you, and believe me, I love disagreeing with you because you're wrong 99% of the time. This is actually maybe the one time you were correct.
I'll take that 0.1% all day.
This may be the one time you are correct. I actually love that pick. Jalen Hurts, I mean, clearly they're not looking to feed Miles Sanders. I don't know why. He's a fantastic runner, but it seems like the offense is just going through Jalen Hurts. I mean, even last week, they had I think they were on the 1 yard line, and they could have given it to Sanders. They just had Jalen Hurts do his thing.
Yeah.
I mean, he is scoring every touchdown, whether he's running it or passing it. I think he probably has the best chance, maybe even over Stafford.
It just comes down to the rushing upside. That's why. Yeah.
He has the volume in both passing and the rushing. But the only reason why I would say Stafford over Hurts, because Stafford has a better team around him, and I think eventually the talent of the Rams will allow Stafford to elevate more over Hurts.
And I get that, but like we've seen plenty of times, like quarterbacks in awful situations elevate themselves among the fantasy ranks. I mean, we saw Blake Bortles do this year after year, somehow finish in like the top 10 to 12 of quarterbacks. So, I mean, Jalen Hurts is obviously different. That Blake Bortles is a lot better, and he has a ton of upside. I mean, just a little bit, but the fact that he's the only quarterback to finish as a QB1 every week this year, that's pretty impressive. I think he's going to keep that up. I mean, he may have a couple down weeks, but for the most part, he's going to be very consistent and is going to be a mainstay in your fantasy lineup for the rest of the year.
Also, now, do you just say Jalen Hurts because you happened to beat me last week with Hurts on your team?
Oh yeah, let's talk about this. So Jalen Hurts not only is the answer to this question, but he's the answer to my fantasy team right now, because I just beat Austin last week in my our home league, in rivalry week. And just to give everyone a little bit of background, for rivalry week for my league, you get double points for the amount of points you score that week. And my team happened to have a very good outing. I scored over.
You had your best week of the season, and it wasn't even close.
Best week of my life, honestly.
Was that the high moment of your life? Was that the best moment of your life? I bet you it was.
I mean, it's up there. I mean, I put up over 200 points, continued my dominance against Austin in my league. I think I moved to like 8-3 against him. He just seems to not have an answer for me, but I'm sure we'll play each other sometime soon again. Maybe we play again another time this year, but if not, it could be the playoffs. So
I gotta have a feel to get carried by Mike Williams. How's it feel?
I don't look at it as being carried by Mike Williams. I look at being as carried by Devontae Adams and then supported with Mike Williams.
No, I'll give you, as much as, again, I would love to just talk smack to you, but I got to say, your team came together really well. Picking up Damian Williams last week was great. Trading for Dawson Knox at the last second. I mean, great job on your part. And Jamar Chase did his thing. It's unfortunate that I knew going into the week, because you had Devontae Adams, I'm like, he's definitely going to go off for at least 30 just because he's playing me and Adams plays the Bengals. I knew Adams was going to go off. I didn't think Chase would do that. Well, I didn't think Mike Williams would do that. But I'm going to give you credit. You put together a hell of a team. Too bad you're only in third place though. I'm still in second.
That's okay, but if you look at the top 2 teams in our league, both of their losses are because of me. So
And that's because of who? Mike Williams.
Devontae Adams.
No, it's because of Mike Williams. That's
Come
simple.
on. We got to give Mike Williams credit now. It's not like these performances are fluky. He's in the, top 5 wide receivers right now?
Lucky. You're lucky.
Lucky or I know how to draft?
No, you're lucky. With you, it's always luck.
Hey, I'll be totally honest.
You've never won our home week for a reason. So this is luck.
And there's gonna be plenty of opportunities for me to get my first win in this league. So we'll see what happens.
By the way, I'm winning this week. I'm going back to my winning ways. That was a fluke. I had my best performance of the season.
Of your life.
Season, not my life. Because I'm actually a good fantasy manager. I do that. That's like.
Then explain to me the move with dropping the number 1 quarterback in fantasy last week, and then scrambling to pick him back up after you knew the mistake you made.
I wouldn't call it a scramble. I spent, I think,
$1. I was actually looking to add him, but I mean, I didn't really feel the need to. But
I dropped him because I thought Matthew Stafford would put up good enough numbers last week, and I thought Trey Lance would actually, play a little better than that. But clearly, I was a little off with that. So Brady's back on the squad, and I'll be starting him this week. Like I've started Stafford the last 2 weeks, and he's just underperformed. So I'm gonna stick with the GOAT this week, and I can imagine Stafford's gonna end up going off now that I benched him. But that's how fantasy works.
I just want to highlight some of Austin's other indecisiveness. I believe he's added and dropped Larry Roundtree like 3 or 4 times. You dropped obviously Brady, and you added him back. You drafted Lance, you dropped Lance, and then you added him, and then you just dropped him. But yeah, honestly, no. But it's working for you. So whatever you're doing, you're 4-1. Keep doing it because it's working.
Also, did you see what I changed my team name to?
Daddy Ekeler.
Damn
the
right,
title
baby.
of episode
Daddy
9.
Ekeler. Daddy Ekeler in the house.
Oh yeah.
Ready
to move on?
Yeah, let's move on.
All right, let's talk some start sits. I'm gonna go through some players that are gonna be playing in the same game this week, and Austin is gonna tell me who he prefers to start. Let's start off at the quarterback position. A couple of guys we briefly mentioned, both went off last week, and we could potentially see them featured in my bold predictions later on. But Austin, would you start this week Lamar Jackson or Justin Herbert? Obviously, if you have both of these guys on your team, you did something crazy in your draft, but who would you choose in this situation?
I had a feeling you were going to go there. Look, Lamar, he lit up Monday Night Football, but that's only the first big game he's had all year. Herbert's been doing this now all season. He's an MVP candidate this year in my eyes, and that is a stacked offense. Baltimore without Marcus Peters right now, really not so good defensively. I think the Chargers are a little more capable of containing Lamar in that offense. So I'll go with Herbert this week over Lamar. I think there's so much more upside because of the talent on the outside. And I mean, now that they're going to use Ekeler like this too, like they have in the last 2 weeks, and I'll get into Ekeler a little more later. But he has so much weapons around him, so many weapons around him, Herbert. So give me Herbert.
I mean, both defenses are pretty good. In this situation, I will take Lamar Jackson just because he has a little bit more rushing upside. Obviously, Lamar does not have anywhere near the weapons that Justin Herbert has. I think this is going to be the best game of the week. Honestly, it could end up being a shootout. We could see somewhat resemblance of performance last week from both of these guys. But yeah, I mean, if you have both of these guys, it's definitely a tough decision. But no matter what,
it's a great problem to have, by the way. It's a great problem to have.
And an unbelievable problem to have. Obviously, if you have one of these guys, you're starting both of them no matter what. I don't care. Matchup, if you have anyone better, they're both must starts this week and every week going forward.
Absolutely.
Let's move on to the running back position. We have the Bengals playing the Lions this week. Austin, would you start DeAndre Swift or Joe Mixon?
DeAndre Swift. I want some Swift. I really hope Dan Campbell can just see it now. When Swift is on the field, the Lions offense actually looks like an offense. When they feed him the ball out of the backfield, the Lions actually score. All of a sudden, they used that final drive last week against Minnesota where they scored, I think, their first touchdown of the game, I believe, or I think their first touchdown of the game. Swift is on the field the entire drive. What happened? They got the ball downfield very quickly. And who scored it? Swift. If he does not see that Swift is the dude, I get it. Jamal Williams is a good running back. He's a good power running back. Even goal on situations or like short yard situations, all right. But come on. You got to use DeAndre Swift. Like, if last week is not an indicator that Swift needs to be more involved, I don't know what is. But the Bengals don't have a defense, really.
I don't know about that. I don't know about the Bengals. The Bengals defense has looked a lot better than in recent years. I mean, they didn't get destroyed by the Packers.
So was the Lions defense too, by the way. They're actually they played hard every week. They barely lost to the Ravens, barely lost to Minnesota. They barely lost to San Fran, even though it was a high-scoring game. Like, they played tough. They play hard every game. I think. Also, I think Burrow, even with, I know he's fine to play. I think he's fine to play with his throat.
Yeah, he should be okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Swift though. I think he has much more upside. I think he has to be more heavily involved.
I think it's also more. It's less of a Dan Campbell problem and more of an Anthony Lynn problem. We've seen in years past that Anthony Lynn loves to use multiple running backs. We saw it in Los Angeles with Ekeler and Justin Jackson and Joshua Kelly. They were not lighting the world on fire. Yeah, now that Eckler's with a new coach, look, his upside is untapped at this point. But in this scenario, obviously, anyone who knows me or has listened to this podcast know that I'm still a huge Joe Mixon fan, despite all the issues he has run into this season. Last week, he only played 28% of the snaps. He wasn't fully healthy. I expected him to be closer to 100% this week. We could see Samaje Perine out due to COVID. Therefore, I'm hoping Joe Mixon gets more involved in the receiving game. We saw it in week 1. We have not seen it since. But in this situation, Swift has been a lot more inconsistent than Mixon. We've seen like on an every other week basis, Swift has had kind of a down week. A lot of that has to do with Jamal Williams still being heavily involved. With that being said, I think Joe Mixon's workload is more guaranteed. Plenty of opportunities to score in this game. He's scored each of the past 2 weeks. I like Joe Mixon in this situation.
You like Joe Mixon more than Swift, even though Mixon is not fully healthy.
Correct.
And could you just acknowledge that we could probably see a lot of Samaje Perine this week? You still take
Samaje Perine is on the COVID list, so he might not play.
Okay, I know that. All right, you know what? That's fair. We'll see. I'm gonna be right though as usual, but
right as usual. I don't think you want me to tell everyone what your record is right now in predictions on this show. So
honestly, I don't think I want to know even.
Yeah, that's fine. We won't tell anybody, but let's move on to the wide receiver position here. We got the Steelers and Seahawks facing off. Would you start Tyler Lockett or Chase Claypool?
Give me Chase Claypool, I think, this week. Now that Juju's out for a little while.
The whole year.
He's out for the year?
He's out for the year. Yes.
He's out for a few weeks. Now he's out for the year, excuse me. I think they're going to have to incorporate Claypool a lot more. Also, Seattle, I know they played tough last week against the Rams, but Stafford still gassed them for 300-plus yards. And I think Big Ben actually looked decent last week against a tough Denver defense. And the fact is, Lockett, he is such a good receiver, but he just underperforms so often. So I'm going to go with Claypool this week. I think they have to incorporate him a lot more. Also, like I said, Seattle is not a good defensive team. Also, we'll see probably Shaquille Griffin on Deontay Johnson, I'm assuming. So give me Claypool. But now that I said that, I would not be surprised if Lockett has one of those 8 catches for 100-something yards in a touchdown game. I would not be shocked.
That's the thing with Lockett. We never know when we'll get that big game. It could be coming this week.
It's coming.
Oh, it's coming. He's due.
Like a freight train. It's coming like a freight train.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, obviously, it's a good match. It's a really good matchup for Chase Claypool. I mean, the Seahawks cannot stop anyone really through the air right now. Now that Juju is out, it's really Claypool, Deontay Johnson, and Najee Harris to receive all the targets. I am going to take Chase Claypool in this situation. I just think he has a much higher floor than Tyler Lockett. Obviously, Tyler Lockett possesses more upside, but give me
Agreed.
Chase Claypool to reap the benefits with Juju Smith-Schuster now out
Agreed.
for the year.
Lockett has a higher ceiling because it's Lockett, but I agree. Claypool, a minimum, I think I'll at least get 12 points, minimum.
I think, honestly, like talking about the rest of the season, I think Claypool has the chance to win some leagues, especially now with Juju Smith-Schuster out. He could be used as a solid wide receiver too. Obviously, right now, probably more of a flex play, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, if you have Chase Claypool on your team and you were worried about him coming into the year, you should not be as worried now because although Big Ben has struggled and is getting up there in age, Claypool, after a strong week 5, is going to be just fine the rest of the way.
I agree.
All right, let's go to the final start-sit scenario. Let's go to the tight end position. Dalton Schultz, who has led the Cowboys in targets over the past several weeks, versus Hunter Henry, the New England Patriots, who has kind of come on strong this past couple of weeks and has emerged in that tight end room. Who do you got?
I'm going to go with Hunter Henry this week. New England so far this year has been very good at defending tight ends. And Hunter Henry last week, him and Mac Jones, for the first time, I saw them develop a really good chemistry with each other. Mac Jones hit Henry for a touchdown. It was a dime. It was a perfect pass. And I think Henry's become one of Mac Jones's safety nets in the pocket. So also Dallas, I know their defense has improved a lot this year, but there's still a lot to improve with them. Patriots have a stout defense. Even though last week they struggled a little bit against Houston, I think it was just losing Gilmore. I think it was a little hard of an adjustment. But when they needed to lock up, they did. So I'm going to go with Hunter Henry. I think he's the hotter hand right now. I think Schultz, I think he's going to cool off a little bit this week. It's Bill Belichick. I got to imagine he'll come in with a plan knowing Dallas is so explosive.
Yes, so you were saying that the Patriots have been really good against tight ends. They have given up the fewest points to the tight end position this year. However, that stat is a little deceiving. Let me read you the tight ends they've faced up against so far this year. Mike Gesicki, Tyler Kroft, Cameron Brate, Anthony Ekeler, and Pharaoh Brown. Not really a list of household names at the tight end position. I just think for me, the correct answer is Dalton Schultz in this situation. Somehow he has more targets than CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper and is leading this Dallas Cowboys team in targets. It's clear that the Cowboys want to run their offense through their running backs and tight ends at this point in the season. Obviously, no one expects Dalton Schultz to finish with more targets than CeeDee Lamb or Amari Cooper, but for the time being, especially in this situation, I am going to take Dalton Schultz. I just think that I trust Dak Prescott more. The offense is obviously more explosive than the Patriots. We'll see if this can continue for Hunter Henry. Obviously, Jonnu Smith is still there, but while Hunter Henry has been the number 1 tight end to target for Mac Jones, there's still a bunch of options, and we know the Patriots have a history of wanting to spread the ball around. I'm going to continue to ride the streak of Dalton Schultz until it somehow falls off and we see CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper get more involved. So give me Dalton Schultz in this situation.
Well, what I would say is what goes up must come down, and Schultz has been pretty damn good lately. I think eventually it's going to cool off, and I believe it is this week. Are they playing in New England?
They are playing in, let's see what we got here. They are playing at Dallas.
Again?
Yeah.
That may change things. I thought it'd be in New England.
Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. It's in New England. I'm reading that wrong.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
Because in New England, I think, frankly, at home, it's tough to go into Foxborough and play well. Very difficult. I think with Belichick's, listen, I know they're 1-4, 1-4, right?
Two and three.
Belichick has drawn up some good game plans this year. Fortunately, they still are lacking some talent on the outside. Well, I think right now Henry's the go-to for Mac Jones, aside from Myers. And going to Foxborough, I think Dallas offense is going to struggle a little bit this week. I think they'll win the game ultimately, but I think you're going to see their offensive numbers decline a little bit just because they're in Foxborough. It's a very tough environment to play at. But again, I can't argue with why you picked up Dalton Schultz. I mean, it's Dallas, so I get it.
Yeah, so before we move on to our next segment, I just want to give everybody a little preview of an article that will be going live on blitzanalytics.com sometime on Thursday. It's my weekly NFL fantasy playbook article. So just a few things to look out for, some of the start sits that I'll have in that. A few starts that I like this week: Taylor Heineke and Emmanuel Sanders, and a few sits for me. Temper expectations are Josh Jacobs and Adam Thielen. So if you want to go check out the rest of my start sits and the rest of that article, go do so. I would really appreciate it. Let's move on to our Thursday night football preview. We have another good matchup, a good matchup for fantasy. It should be a good matchup overall. The the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Philadelphia Eagles. So let's get right into it. Austin, anything you were expecting to see in this game? Maybe we'll start off a little like a score prediction in this game.
I mean, I expect Tampa to come in and take care of business like any other day. I think they're going to win this game by double digits. I mean, fact is, Eagles, they play tough. Like, I give them credit. They fight every game. But I don't think they have enough talent at all to beat Tampa Bay. So I expect this game I expect Tampa to drop at least 30 on this team. I could see like a 35-21, 35-20 game, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be within a touchdown, honestly, because I think what's going to happen is the Buccaneers get out to a big lead, and then Jalen Hurts works his magic and gets some garbage time points in there to not only save his fantasy owner's day, but save maybe get his team closer. I'll go, if I have to say a score, I'm going to say 28-20 is the final score. So 8-point lead for the Bucs. But let's get into some over/under, starting with Jalen Hurts. Yahoo Fantasy currently has him projected at 20.99 points. Austin, over or under?
He will go over for the same reason you just gave us. I think he'll struggle for most of the game, and I think you'll see him towards the end of the game when it's kind of out of reach. He'll get some garbage points in there, and that'll be the reason why he eclipses that mark.
All right, let's go to the beneficiary possibly of Jalen Hurts this week. Devontae Smith, over or under 14.5 points?
Over. To win this game or to even make it competitive, they're going to have to give their best playmaker the ball. And I gotta believe Hurts is going to try to find Smith all night tomorrow night. So give me the over, just purely because of volume alone.
Let's move over to the running back position, a guy that has disappointed fantasy owners so far this year. Miles Sanders, or under 12 points?
Under. I mean, it's obvious at this point. They don't use them. They don't want to use their running backs. Jalen Hurts is literally like Lamar Jackson at this point. Like he's taking the runs. They want to throw the ball down the field. Like they're just not using Sanders. I don't understand why. Last year he averaged like 5 yards a carry. This year he's still averaging like 4 or 5 yards a carry. Like, he's a very good runner, but again, they just won't use him. So, and against Tampa Bay, under.
Yeah, it's definitely on top of that run defense is stout. So he's definitely someone to probably stay away from this week. Let's move over to the Bucs side of things. Tom Brady, who's currently the #1 quarterback in fantasy, over under 22.93 points.
Over. Definitely over. I could see him tossing, another 4 touchdowns this game against Philly.
All right, who do you think catches those touchdowns?
Who?
Yeah.
Well, I guess this goes into my bold prediction that I was going to say later, but
you can save it if you want.
I want to save it.
Okay. All right, let's just go with their over-unders. Mike Evans, over/under 16.5.
Over, definitely. I can see Evans will have one of those 80-yard games, a touchdown. I'll have 5 catches at least. I think he's due for that kind of game this week.
Chris Godwin, 16.2 points.
Under. It's become blatant at this point. Listen, Godwin's a talented receiver, but I think at this point in time, Brady's go-tos are Evans and Brown. I think he has the best chemistry with those guys overall. But listen, Godwin were to eclipse it, I wouldn't be surprised because Godwin's a great receiver, but it's it's becoming more obvious who Brady likes to go to, and Godwin's just not been that guy. So give me the under.
Yeah, I mean, every week there's probably going to be one odd man out. So it could be Godwin, it could be Evans, could be Brown, but let's go to Antonio Brown. Over under 14 points.
Give me the over. Him and Brady have been really playing well, and obviously Brown was out for a week because of COVID. But besides that, I mean, him and Brady have been. The connection between those two has been very strong, and I don't expect that to stop now against a porous Philly defense.
All right, final one, Leonard Fournette, over under 14.
I'm gonna take the over. I think Fournette finds the end zone this week, and I think that'll be the reason why he goes over.
All right, so maybe just say who do you think will, other than the quarterbacks, who do you think will be the highest scorer? It might drip into your bold prediction a little, but just give a name of who you think will have the most points.
The highest scorer this week, and this probably won't come as a surprise, but I think it's going to be Brady. Really, I think it'll be Brady. I think he's playing so well right now. Except for the New England game, which I mean. Bad weather in Foxborough. I'm sure he's gripping the ball a little tighter. I think he's trying to just shove it to Belichick. But I mean, you can't argue with the number one quarterback right now, who's just, I mean, that offense is so explosive. So give me Brady.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Jalen Hurts, just in the fact that they might not even need Tom Brady to do that much in this game, especially if they run away with this. I think Jalen Hurts will rack up, like I said, a ton of garbage time points. So maybe he takes the edge over Tom Brady this week, and maybe Jalen Hurts will be in the top 5 this time next week.
Well, you're biased. You're just biased because you're starting him this week in our home league.
I mean, aren't you starting Tom Brady?
Yeah, I never said I wasn't. I'm being biased, but also I'm right. I'm gonna be correct.
All right. Well, I think I'm correct, but let's see if we can get some more things correct here. Let's move on to
I got one right last week. I mean, come on, 1 out of 3, it's pretty good.
All right, but the level of boldness, it was towards the lower end of the scale. So
are you kidding?
Let's see if you can build on it this week. Let's bring back a fan favorite segment once again, our signature bold predictions. Let's see if Austin can be a little bit more bolder this week, because last week he was sure lacking. I'm bringing it this week, so let's see if Austin will follow suit. Austin, lead us off.
Why don't you start us off, Big Shot? Huh? Start us off.
All right, I will. Ready for this?
Yeah, actually.
Taylor Heineke is facing off against the Kansas City Chiefs this week. The Kansas City Chiefs have not been able to stop anyone, especially quarterbacks. They're allowing the most points to quarterbacks per game at 28.8. Taylor Heineke has finished as a QB1 in 3 of the last 4 games. He is the QB15 on the season.
Don't do it.
Taylor Heineke will outscore Patrick Mahomes and turn in a top 5 QB performance this week. That's called a bold prediction, and that prediction is plausible. Taylor Heineke has been very good this year. And a lot of people are going to say, oh, Taylor Heineke. I mean, the Chiefs have not been able to stop one. Taylor Heineke already has a top 5 performance this year, and he has 3 top 12 performances. What makes you think, especially in a great matchup, that he wouldn't be able to climb into the top 5?
Because Patrick Mahomes just got his butt whooped by Buffalo. You don't think he's coming in this week with some fire in his belly? Come on now. Get out of here with that, Chet.
We're talking fantasy. We're not talking about reality right now.
Get the hell out of here with that BS. That is not bold. That is just idiotic.
It's a lot bolder than your predictions, and honestly, this has more of a chance than any of your predictions coming true. Most likely.
That may be more ludicrous than you saying Derrick Henry won't be a top 10 running back. By the way, how's that working out for you?
Hey, it's still possible.
He's the number 1 running back right now.
Number 1 running back. Still plenty of season left.
Yeah.
And that's why it was a bold prediction. But you just like to make plausible predictions. That
I said Mixon would finish with the top 12 running back. I said Mixon would not finish with the top 12 running back.
Is that really bold though, based on what we've seen from him in the past?
You were very high on him.
I know, but I'm just saying from what we've seen from him. Is it really bold?
Yes, it was.
Let me hear your first one, and I'll give you a rating on 1 to 10 on the level of boldness. 1 being least amount of boldness.
Okay. Daddy Ekeler, the GOAT, the bald-headed freak show, Austin Ekeler, will have his third consecutive week of at least 2 touchdowns and at least 100 scrimmage yards. Third consecutive week. That's my bold prediction.
All right, it's definitely bold. If I was putting it on the bold scale, it would be like a 5. It's definitely it has some boldness to it, but Austin Ekeler, obviously he can do it. He's done it 2 straight weeks. What makes you think he wouldn't be able to do it again?
You know how hard it is to do it 3 consecutive weeks, 100 scrimmage yards? You know how hard that is?
This is Daddy Ekeler we're talking about.
It is Daddy Ekeler. That's my dad right there. That's my father right there. Love that man. Spend it. What pick did I get him in our draft? 7, 8?
7.
8.
You got him.
I traded my first round pick. Remember? I got him 8.
No.
That's how I got my second rounder.
Oh, okay.
So I got him at 8. Best pick I may have ever had in the draft, or Cooper Kupp, one of the two. By the way, Daddy Ekeler, third consecutive week, 2 touchdowns, at least 100 scrimmage yards. Lock it up.
Okay. Like I said, it's bold, but not as bold as mine, which is fine. I mean, in the end, it matters. All it matters is that I'll get this right and you'll get
yours isn't bold. That's just like mind blowing. Like someone actually like I have so many questions for you.
Ready for this next one right here?
No, but like I know you're gonna go.
All right, Justin Herbert and Lamar Jackson face off this week, and like we mentioned before, they're both must starts this week. Justin Herbert and Lamar Jackson were number 1 and 2 respectively last week after monster weeks. And my bold prediction is that they will repeat their top 2 performances from a week ago and be right at the top of the QB position once again this week. 1 and 2.
You think that's bold?
That's bold. That's bold.
No, just
yes.
Not bold. Honestly, I could see that happening.
Come on, Austin.
I could so see that happening.
You know how hard it is for a quarterback to repeat consecutive top 2 finishes every week?
But when I say it's hard for a running back to have 100 scrimmage yards and 2 touchdowns for 3 consecutive weeks, all of a sudden, yeah.
We're talking about Daddy Herbert right here. We're talking about Daddy Herbert.
Is that the education you're getting up to? Are you getting too much sun in Tampa right now?
Oh, come on. What did you just say about my education? Come on.
Yeah, that's the education you're getting at Tampa?
Come on.
Are they putting these crazy ideas in your head? The big ass head of yours?
We don't discuss fantasy football in our classes. I don't know about you up in Indiana, but we talk strictly business stuff up here.
I'm sorry, that beard is getting worse and worse and going right to your
It's only getting better. Come on, you know it is.
That thing's growing inward and
you're just jealous you don't have the ability to grow one.
I don't need a beard, bro. I look good.
All right, we're getting carried away again with the beard talk. But let me hear your bold prediction number 2.
Well, this goes back to Tom Brady before. So Tom Brady will throw for at least 4 touchdowns tomorrow night. We'll have at least 400 yards, and each touchdown will be to a different receiver.
I actually like that. That's a good one.
Thank you.
That's bold too. That is.
So was the Ekeler one, but thank you.
The Ekeler one wasn't as bold, but this one is good.
What's your last one, huh?
You want to get? Do you have one more after this?
I got one more.
All right. So this is probably my boldest one I've ever said. Honestly, based on how things have gone, this pertains to the Blitz Fantasy League, and my bold prediction is that I will pick up my first win this week. That's bold for you right there.
Yeah, okay, that's the boldest thing you've ever said in your life. Okay.
Yeah, it's not been good. Pretty bold. Like it has not been good so far this year. I've never been in a league where it's possibly taken me till week 6 to get my first win. But like I said, I'm optimistic and I'll be right up there with Austin at the end of the year. So not a problem at all.
All right, that's bold. You getting a win. That's bold. All right, that was your best one. I can't even argue with that one.
All right, Austin, let's hear this last one.
Last one, it probably isn't like super bold, but I guess it is because he hasn't done it yet. I think my last prediction, DeAndre Swift will have his first 30-point game of the season this year. this week. He has yet. I think his highest game of the year has been. I think it was last week. I think it was 22. Oh no, it wasn't last week.
I think I'm pretty sure he had like 27 or something.
Yeah, but I think he has yet to score 30 in a game. I think this would be the week he does it.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely not bold, but I'll let you have that one. I mean, obviously you're a little biased considering you have DeAndre Swift, so you want him to get 30.
And Brady and Ekeler.
Yeah, so you're kind of just looking at your team and you're trying to speak different things into existence. And honestly, your luck's probably not gonna be great, but why not? Why not shoot your shot with these predictions?
Hey, listen, you go big or go home, all right?
Yeah. But episode number 10, a milestone episode, is now in the books. Another great one. We talked a bunch of things. We brought back our question of the day. We talked a bunch of players, bold predictions. We hope we get those right. And Thursday night football preview along with our starts and sits.
I don't know if you called those bold predictions. I don't know what you call them. To me, mine were pretty bold. I don't know.
No, you gotta understand something. Yours are predictions. Mine are bold predictions. That's the difference.
Yours are craziness, like idiocracy. I don't even know how you sleep at night. Really,
I sleep like a baby every night.
Yeah, you look like one too.
Come on, what baby do you know has this beard?
You're just an overgrown man baby. You're like Michael Thomas, or Kyrie Irving right now.
I'm not gonna go throw hands in a practice. I'm not like Michael Thomas.
So you're like Kyrie Irving, it's a baby.
Yeah, that's true. Sure,
Yes.
I'll give you that. All right.
Yeah, thank God my Knicks did not get him. Thank God. Did not want to deal with that.
All right, before this turns into an NBA podcast, let's episode 10. Like I said, it's in the books. Austin, you have anything to add before we get out of here?
As usual, don't listen to Jet ever. Clearly he is on something right now. God knows what. I feel bad for everyone that has to associate with him. Other than that, make sure to check out blitzalytics.com as usual for all your fantasy needs. And we will be here every week, and we will see you all back next week for episode 11.
Yeah, and if you cannot handle the heat,
Jet,
get out of the kitchen.
Jet.
Thank you, guys. We will see you next time.
See you guys.